like, all right, all bets are off. Let's have some fun. We're going to get to know you. We're going to ask things that nobody else would ask you. And, I'd be getting torched on Reddit and everything else. And I was just cutting my teeth, man. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just knew that I was helping. I was trying to learn and do the best. And he believed in me. Arn Anderson, forever will be a friend of mine. And Kurt Angle and Mike Kyota.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wrestling Wednesdays. I'm geeking out and very excited by my latest guest because not only is he a huge wrestling fan and a very strong voice in the wrestling podcast sector, someone you will have heard of multiple times across multiple shows, and now runs his own incredible network as well. But he's also a complete and utter Pittsburgh sports obsessive. He's part of the Pittsburgh Steeler Nation. I don't know too much about the Pirates myself, but we'll get a little bit of NFL chat going, I think, because I don't know much else. I need to find out a bit more about what the great the great city and state of Pittsburgh has got to offer. But it is the man who you've heard his voice before. You've heard him on the Kurt Angle Show. You've heard him with Mike Kyota. He runs the Arn Show and the Four Horsemen Network. It is the co-host of co-hosts. It is Paul Bromwell. Pauly B. Sir, how are you doing?
Martin, I'm doing great. I'm so glad that we could finally connect and get together. And it's so nice to meet you in person. It really is. Get to face-to-face talk here and chat it up for a few minutes. But thank you so much for having me on, and I look forward to this today.
It's a genuine pleasure. I mean, obviously, as I say, you're always very kind to every one of your listeners, and including myself, who whenever we sort of reach out to one of your shows, you always make sure you get it involved and very interactive. And I think that's why, not only am I such a big fan of your work, I think that's why a lot of people will sort of resonate with you because you've kind of taken that, you're a fan yourself, but you've made it into the industry and you work with people, so you help bring people along with you. And I think that's such a nice relationship you've got with all your listeners.
Oh man, thank you for saying that, and that's exactly how I feel. Sure, I get to be the one sitting here with the mic and talking to these folks, Kurt Angle. You start to think about some of the names of other people too, outside of what I'm doing now. Whether it's, I've just been thinking about Dr. Tom Pritchard lately. I'm going to be able to see him soon. But then there was the great Kevin Sullivan. So many others I filled in for and worked with JR and others. But for all of you who get to write in questions, man, it's an opportunity where I'm going to make sure that you kind of through me get to form somewhat of a relationship with a Mike Kyota. And so it's been a lot of fun to do that. And I had so much fun, specifically on that show,
Mhm.
really integrating the listeners with Mike and making it like a homey feel. But no, man, thank you for the kind words. And again, looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, we'll start with probably. I think we should start with the Kyoto side of things because you made it almost like I guess it was a sort of a fortnightly lads reunion almost, where you were just sort of catching up and chewing the fat, but you were able to, the way you did it so cleverly, where you would drop the questions in, but you'd have like follow-ups with it, and you'd have other conversations, and you get Mike talking about his personal life that was not something necessarily a fan or someone listening had written and asked. You got him talking about what he got up to at a weekend, what he likes to do, and you got little extra nuggets out of him that made it feel like you were just listening to a conversation between two friends. What was that sort of experience like for you, knowing that every episode you kind of had to find a way to get all those questions in? It wasn't necessarily talking about one long subject and then
Sure.
two questions. How did you approach that kind of work?
Man, no, thank you for saying that. So with Mike, it was really, I think we established a relationship outside of the show and a friendship, and we talked, sometimes 20 minutes, a half hour, 45 minutes on the phone about the Steelers, about where he was eating. So when we got in front of a screen to record, it was like a continuation of a conversation. And for everybody, I wanted to feel the same connection that I felt with Mike kind of vicariously through me. And I think just having that conversation and then knowing kind of where to spin or take it because I had gotten to know him so well that I also intentionally wanted it to feel like, hey, we're all sitting at the bar together. And anything that comes up or anybody that walks by or says something or does something, we're going to react. We're going to, have a lot of fun with it. And Mike has the perfect personality for that because he's just like another guy. Yet he has all these wrestling stories in his backpack that he can just draw from that made that experience and show so much fun. I'm still friends with Mike to this day, not even hosting the show. we call, we talk about, he was the first guy I texted when they signed Aaron Rodgers, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, we just developed that kinship. But I think because of that, it comes across when you're hosting a show with someone. And I think, not to get down a rabbit hole, but I think I learned as I became kind of the plug and play guy for some other shows. Like, say, for instance, when I was working with Conrad and he couldn't make it or whatever, man, if I was coming in cold, it was rough. I'm like, I'm sticking to the material, but I don't know what jabs I can poke. These guys don't feel comfortable with me. So it was like sticking to the material, cutting my teeth, a little bit of a rough runway there. But with Mike, man, it was just like catching up with a buddy that you went to high school with, talking rock bands and everything. So very comfortable relationship with Mike Kyota.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly tell, and you made it such a great listen every couple of weeks, and something that I think if it was every week, it'd be even better. But it kind of made sense when it
Sure.
was that nice touch every couple of weeks because you had that enough time to like, oh, I want to know what's going on next, and I want to, and it wasn't too intrusive, which is beautiful. Before we get to the rest of the wrestling career, you brought up the Rodgers scenario with Pittsburgh Steelers. They're making some moves. Ramsey's come in now. I don't know. I kind of follow the NFL a little bit, but not to the point where I could probably give any tactical analysis. But you guys are looking quite an exciting side for next season now.
At least for next season. And that's the thing. Aaron Rodgers is coming in, and listen, the writing's been on the wall the entire offseason, and it's mixed feelings, mixed emotions, even a Steelers fan on what are we doing?
Yeah.
I think it was clear in the draft that we weren't in love with any of the top draft picks, quarterback hyped up picks. It was just clear if there would have been somebody the Pittsburgh Steelers loved and thought this could be the future of our team for the next 10, 15 years as aggressive as our GM is, we would have made moves. We
Mm.
didn't. We waited. We got Will Howard later on, who we still apparently the organization feels like could be something and develop into something special. But you also started to see there's more than meets the eye here with the conversations they're having with Aaron Rodgers. The DK Metcalf move and bringing him in was big time. So yeah, moves are being made, aggressiveness that that we haven't really seen from the Steelers organization. They're not known to act like this, and so that's been a little awkward too. But I'm for it because I think in today's NFL, you have to either, for lack of a better word, shit or get off the pot. Either you're making moves and being aggressive, or you're not, especially when there's already teams built ready to win now. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. We go on the list. I'm not sorry if you're listening, I'm forgetting your team, but there's a lot of good teams out there. But the Steelers, I think, also did a nice job of setting themselves up
Mm.
for next year's draft. And that was the key through this whole thing. They didn't give away any draft capital next year. They actually have quite a few picks, and I feel like I'm back on the Chioda show. And next year, the draft's in Pittsburgh. So I think you're going to see them make a splash when it comes time. Aaron will have played the year here. We'll see. Hey, I hate tanking. So they'll never do that. So they're going to try to be as competitive as they can. Have it be a bridge. And Martin, I just bought tickets for a game. Me, my son, and my brother are all going in November to see the Steelers play the Colts. So I'm excited about it. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm always the optimist. I think if you've listened to me long enough, you know that I try to look at things with a glass half full perspective. I choose to live my life that way. And everybody's who's a fan of the NFL and their teams right now, all I think approach the season with that kind of optimism. Everybody feels like they get a fresh start, and with the salary cap and things like that, you can be competitive. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's exciting. I always love this time in any sport when
Hmm.
it's that few weeks where preseason's about to start and you don't really know
Yeah,
what's going to happen and you see the jigsaw being rebuilt. It's always great fun. As I say, I play a bit of NFL fantasy and I always enjoy it
oh,
whenever
okay.
it's
Very
involved. But
nice.
but it's I honestly it's down to pure luck most of the time because I'm just like
It
a
is.
handful of players I think, oh, I really like them, and the rest is who's telling me who to pick, and I'm just gonna have to go with it. So you end up benching points and you're like, what have I done there? It's a nightmare. But Pittsburgh's one of those places I think it would be amazing to see a game in. And I always, whenever any of my friends talk about it, I always recommend they watch the film Draft Day if they want to kind of get an idea of just kind of. I know it's not as realistic as you'd think, but just kind of get an understanding of how it all works behind the scenes because it's
Yeah.
totally different to our football and how our transfers work. And a draft day next year in Pittsburgh, you've got to go. That'd be incredible.
Oh my goodness. Listen, if I feel like I'm becoming an old man quick in terms of, oh, I'm not going to go fight the crowds. I'm not, there's part of me that's like, I have my comfortable big screen at home, my bathroom close, and my fridge even closer.
Yeah.
But now I'm excited to see the city, how they represent. There's so much planning and hard work already in place, building of this and that. And, they're bringing in, new restaurants and stuff all for the draft. But hey, it's long term. It'll set a kind of a new scene for downtown. So it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's really exciting. As I say, I won't touch base really on your other loves of other sports. I can't remember. The Pirates is the baseball team, isn't
It
it?
is. It is.
Um,
I'm wearing a Pirates hat right now.
yeah.
They stink, but I'm a fan. You have to. You can't be, a fan only in the good times. So, there's the problem there is ownership, and
Mm,
we have a guy that just he's turning a profit, but not putting it back, reinvesting that profit into the team, and so it's very frustrating as a fan of the team. We're always excited about draft because it means we're usually at the top of the draft, ready to take somebody else. So yeah, we draft some good players, but then we can never sign them. We got Paul Skeens. You've heard of Paul Skeens, right?
mm.
Okay, he's like the pitching darling. He started that All-Star game last night. His girlfriend's Livy Dunn, and I mean
Oh,
5 million Instagram followers. Okay, we have somebody that could be the face of our franchise right
mm,
now. Okay, there's
mm.
appeal there, and we need to figure out how to capitalize it and build around the guy, but we won't. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah, you need to get some marketing behind them a little bit, and obviously they need to listen to you because that's the idea. It's like they can get the community together, and that's the big thing about sports, isn't it? Once you get that community feel,
Yeah.
it's an incredible army you get behind you. And where I'm from in Lincoln, I'm a Man United fan, but the local team here in Lincoln I always followed, and they were in the non-leagues for a while. They had a really bad run, but two new managers came in and they galvanized the whole community feel in the area, and they had a great season. Got really far in in the cup competition, the FA Cup. Got back into the football league, and they brought a lot of tourism and interest and that whole family and community feel. They brought a lot of fans back to the club, and that effect has knocked on, and they're now in a much higher league than they were for a very long time. So it just shows you how quickly you can turn a sports franchise around once you get that connection.
You said it, community, but not only that, the revenue's got to be skyrocket through the roof, merch sales, everything else, ticket sales, and then the culture. You
Mm,
change the culture, which is huge. So there's just so many benefits. And man, I hope one day, for Pittsburgh Pirates fans' sake, in my lifetime, I get to see that happen. We'll see.
yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Speaking of changing the culture, you and Kurt Angle, what an incredible relationship to listen to with all your stories. Obviously, you worked together as part of obviously on Conrad's ad free shows, and then obviously you started your work on your own network, and that relationship continued. That must have been a phenomenal, especially with the local hero and all the rest of it side of things. It must have been a phenomenal thing to work on.
It really was. And again, Martin, for me, it was developing that friendship with Kurt. You're the first podcast I've been on since a few weeks ago. I actually drove out to Pittsburgh and met Kurt and had lunch with him.
Oh,
And it was just awesome to catch up with Kurt. We literally half the time between bites, we were dying laughing and rolling and cracking up. There's when he starts laughing and I'm laughing uncontrollably at the table, it's good shit. But the conversation was just flowing. He was giving me updates about some projects he's working on. And just he said to me, Paul, I'm going to Hershey in August. Would love for you to come have dinner with me and the family. I don't know. I still hesitate to try to and I'm not saying be pushy, but this is his family time. So the last thing I want to do is like, hey, be that guy at the airport with a marker. No, but so I just play it by ear with guys like that. But we were able to schedule a lunch. We had the best time ever. The place we talked about on the show. We always talked about his favorite sushi place that was in Pittsburgh. It was all you can eat. That's where we went and we had
amazing.
lunch. So and listen, I brought his Ultimates figure with me. His wife, Giovanna, had left a Raw 30 chair in Philly. I snagged it for her, so I was able to return that to her. And then I brought him the Ultimates, and I said, "Would you mind autographing it for me?" Yes, I know, I'm a mark. And he said, "Sure. How do you want me to autograph?" I said, "Whatever you want. It just could be your name, what personalized. I'm not picky." And he signed it, Paul, my best friend. It's true, Kurt Angle, and so it's displayed downstairs in the basement, and it's pinched me moments to know that I've been able to develop a close friendship with your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle.
No, that's incredible. I mean, you could tell, I'd say, when you listen to you guys talk, that the trust and respect is there, and obviously you know what you're. It's not like you're just asking him questions as a journalist that doesn't know anything about him. You've obviously followed his career and you've got a lot of respect for him. But it's the fact that, like you mentioned earlier at the start, when you said when you cover for someone else, it's very hard to have that relationship straight away because people have to trust you, and you've got an opportunity there to grow that. It could have gone any way, but he knew you're genuine. He obviously knows you're a huge fan, but he sees beyond the fan and sees you as you, and that's beautiful because obviously as a listener, we just want to hear the great stories, and we need someone to conduct those stories, and that's what you do so wonderfully.
You mentioned trust, and I think too when you're talking to a Kurt Angle or any professional wrestler, there's going to be things. Arn, I just thought of some stuff with him, but they need to be able to know that they can trust you, especially when you're in a live format like YouTube and there's questions coming in. Listen, there's stuff that most of these folks, there's a few things they're not going to want to talk about. There's a few things that are just don't go there, Paul. And when you can prove to them that you can navigate some of this stuff and develop that trust with them and know that, hey, I'm here to position them in a positive light and have fun and because we've become a society where we love the dirt and we want to know, and I get it, and that's the juicy shit that everybody loves,
Mm.
but at the same time there's the other side of that. There could be a family dynamic that not everybody is aware of that's going on behind the scenes that we could be interrupted because we chose to get our question in that got the clickbait attention. And I think with Kurt, there definitely was that. And I think as he saw, as we worked together through that, the trust really was developed and we became good friends as a result of it.
No, that's really nice. And I love the fact you went for lunch with him the other day. It's beautiful to know that
Mhm.
because it makes me enjoy it even more as a listener because it's like you spend a lot of time and effort engaging with these things and wanting to listen to them and wanting to make sure you got all the notifications. So to hear the actual relationships there is a beautiful thing. So thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Obviously you're doing some amazing work with the Arn Show. You've got the Four Horsemen Network.
Mhm.
Um, what's your schedule like at the moment? How does it work for you, and what's life like with the Arn Show and the sort of the going forward plans with it?
Yeah, sure. Well, first I'll say that since COVID and I started working with Conrad and got involved in podcasting and reviews, this is probably the lightest schedule that my schedule's ever been. I'm down to 2 episodes a month with Arn on YouTube. We do twice a month. Once it's 1 month, one show is a month of his career, and then the other show is Ask Arn Anything. And some of those Arns for this year have been not only Ask Him Anything, but let's get Mark Marrow on and talk to him a little bit. Let's get, Barry Darso on and talk to him a little bit. We've had Brock on. We had Tully Blanchard at the beginning of the year, and we're not done. So I think when you talk about the future of Arn and what we're doing there, you'll start to see that we start sprinkling in some more friends of his that have been in his life and career, just to kind of add another layer to that show as something exciting. And that show is live on YouTube, 6 p.m. Eastern when we do that. So when it's posted on social media, people that jump in, they can super chat and I'll ask their questions live, just like I would have done a Chioda show, but especially on those Ask shows. Now, the Barry Darso show, there might have been 5 to 7 questions I get on that because those two, I basically shut down my mic and they started from their career in early 80s and just walked us through. And we got feedback that it was one of the best shows that we've ever done. And you talk about camaraderie and two guys talking around the bar, sitting at the bar stools and just catching up. Man, that's when I just sit there and I'm like, I'll just open it and close it and call it a day. It was so much fun, but I really like working with Arn. Light schedule to answer your question now, which I'm happy with. Listen, it was my son's senior year this past year in high school. He's graduated. He's going to start as a freshman in school this fall. Ideally, that was to try to go to more events and sports and things like that. I got to see him win the district high school basketball championship
Well,
in Hershey at the Giant Center, which is an arena that WWE has hosted shows in. He's playing basketball there. It was really cool. So was able to tone it down, and really, I'm just dedicated to Arden now at this point. And So yeah, I tell you what though, speaking of Arn, love him. He's like a father figure to me at this point. And I've told him that. His wife Erin is wonderful. I'm going to get to see them as we're recording this. I'm going to get to see him on July 31st, August 1st and 2nd. I'm driving down to Charlotte and I'm going to attend the gathering, which is a T-Mark Promotions WrestleCon style show. And I'm going to be able to hang out with Arn down there. I'm going to take him a new soundboard for his studio in his home. He's going to give me some comic books for me to make sure I can get put on and sell some hardcovers. We're going to have dinner. So love Arn. I'm looking forward to seeing Tully. He and I have talked quite a bit behind the scenes, so he's going to be there. Tom Pritchard is going to be there. But yeah, so it'll be great to see some of those guys. But I'm just a big fan of Arn. And honestly, I've told Arn this. If it wasn't for Arn, I might be taking a little bit of a hiatus altogether from podcasting, just resting a bit now. But for my man, he likes to promote his upcoming appearances. He likes to put out, and I'll put it out on this show here at fourhorsemanshop.com. That's where you can get all your Four Horsemen gear, all your Arn gear. Great quality stuff. I just got a polo, Four Horsemen polo. You can see the jacket in the back. All that stuff's available there. But um, just a man that when we hang up the phone with each other, we tell each other, "Love you, bud. Love you, man." We're just really a genuine, spirited guy that salt of the earth people, the Anderson family.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. That's great, and I'm pleased he's keeping you going in that. I would be gutted if you were no longer on my earbuds or on my YouTube. It'd be great. It'd be great to keep you going. Can't have you out completely, but congrats to your son. That sounds an incredible achievement.
Yeah, and thank you very much. It's been an exciting few months with him, for sure. So, I mean, life's just happening so quick the last few months for him, and
Mm.
then college in the fall, new girlfriend, and
Oh.
so it's an exciting time. We're all I mentioned to you before and going on vacation next week,
Yeah.
so it's a fun time. And listen, through the COVID years, the pandemic years. I was essentially working from my home office and then jumping into let's host a Zoom on ad-free shows. Mike, are you ready to record this night? Oh, hey, Conrad, all the internet's down? Oh, I'll jump on and do this 2 hour show with Eric Bischoff or Jim Ross, who's in a grumpy ass mood. And I'd be getting torched on Reddit and everything else. And I was just cutting my teeth, man. I didn't know what I was doing, and I just knew that I was helping. I was trying to learn and do the best, and he believed in me. And so what an experience those experiences were. But yeah, I'm just so grateful to still be able to have met some really great people and still be able to do a little something.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I remember, and I couldn't believe it at the time when you did get some criticism online. I really didn't understand it because obviously, like I say, from my point, I was enjoying listening to you. I totally understand everyone had signed up and was listening because they wanted to hear Conrad interviewing people, and that's what they were
Sure.
used to. But yes, it's a different voice, but it was a different relationship you're able to have there.
Yes,
You could
that's
ask
the
different
key.
questions that, whatever, and it's like I never understood the criticism. I'm quite a positive person in general, so I
I
don't.
can explain it to you. I can explain it to you. Yeah, it's and because it makes tons of sense to me now. Especially, I can't even go back and listen to my early stuff. Listen, Martin, I was like I'd be lying if I didn't say I was nervous, very extremely nervous of the opportunity, but relished it, and I wasn't going to say no to it because Conrad and I had gotten to know each other again personally,
Hmm.
and he believed in me again as someone that would be able to help him out and do this and get better at it. But I also knew, oh man, you're that guy. You're the guy coming in to replace the voice of the guy. So there was already a strike or two against me. And then there's tons of research on these shows and questions that have to get in. So I was almost not paralyzed, but it's not like a Chioda show where we're going to sit around and bullshit. And if I get through 10 to 15 questions and we can do it in an hour or so, cool. No, this is 2 hours of material. Jim Ross saying, Paul, you need to get me out of here in an hour and a half. And I have 5 ad reads to do too. And so I'm just sticking to the script. It's rigid. I don't know what jokes or whatever I can tell because I also don't know you, Jim, from Jerry the King. So we're just gonna navigate this as best we can. And I'm gonna take some heat online, and it is cutting my teeth. I
Hmm.
could never go back and listen to those early days. I think for what I learned through the process, Martin, was the importance of developing that friendship with the talent early on Kurt, I got not when I took over his show, we started to develop the friendship, which made it easy to transition and take him over.
Mhm.
Arn, same thing. Arn's a little tougher because him and Connie were hitting it pretty good stride. But over time, people then just finally were like, it is Paul and Arn, and it's become Paul's show. But man, that's why I was like, if I just started with my own show, it would have been much easier because people don't know anything different, and I think that's why Chioda, because Conrad just did a few, very few episodes with Mike, even Kevin Sullivan. And then I had done now, then the majority of them, then it became our brand. And so it made it much, much simpler, which I also think is easy. But man, it is not lost on me the opportunity that that man gave me, and I'm talking about Conrad, to get into this business, number one, believe in me, and let me work on his podcasts that he helped create and is the mastermind behind, and develop some relationships with some of the biggest minds and brightest stars in wrestling, from Eric Bischoff, Bruce freaking Pritchard. I mean, come on. I've been able, the first show I did with them was in a freaking broom closet. I was on vacation and I walk-in closet so bad. But I remember flying out to San Francisco, and when I landed, I had a Conrad text one time. I don't think I've told this story. He said, "Hey man, what are you up to? Are you able to record Bruce? He's giving me these dates and I'm not available. And, these times." And I'm like, "Oh, Conrad, I said, I just flew out to San Francisco. I don't even have a mic or anything." He's like, "Oh, well, he said he'll only do it with you if it's not me." So, and it was those little comments that always just, man, that's cool.
Mhm.
Bruce has gotten to know me enough because we had done a couple shows at that point here and there, but he trusted me again, trust, and had a good enough time. And so those things stick with me. I'll never forget and mean a ton to me. And I think about it sometimes. So yes, I know I got blasted. Yes, I know I got ripped. But you know what? At the end of the day, what an amazing experience that not many people can say that they had. And I felt it made me better. It made me a better podcaster. So
Yeah, that's lovely. Well, at least you've taken the positives from it, and you've kept on going.
just like you, Martin,
Yeah,
the
well,
positive.
that's the thing. Like, it's
Yeah,
at the end of the day, you're just trying to you're trying to help tell the story. You're trying to
that's
help
right.
navigate that from the script to, right, how can I get them to keep talking and sharing these things, and how can I make it entertaining for listeners? And like you mentioned, obviously with Conrad's the ad readouts and things like that. But even now, obviously, the work you're doing now, you're just trying to help give people something engaging to listen to and create
Yeah.
content that helps us as wrestling fans hear new stories, or hear an alternative version of a story, or hear something more in depth. And so yeah, you can't rip people for that. But it's great that you've not taken that too negatively, and you've learned from it, and that. So it's
They
exciting.
have every right to their opinion, and then probably if I were to go back and listen to some of the stuff, I would have said the same thing. Okay, so I get it totally. But I'm glad it survived, and I think it helped make me better. And again, to your point, now, like once we got to Mike Kyota, it was like, all right, all bets are off. Let's have some fun. We're gonna get to know you. We're gonna ask things that nobody else would ask you, and he just popped so loud, laughing and cracking up. So it just made everything work. And so I think that's when I really started to hit my stride.
Yeah, well, you can tell. I mean, you definitely cheered me up as I say, every couple of weeks. I was very excited, looking forward to it. And it was one of those ones where no matter how bad your day was or anything going on, I used to literally just put my headphones in, go for a walk, and just listen to you guys. And it was, by the time I got home, I was laughing in public, and anyone who was walking by me at that time around the lake probably thought, who's this strange guy laughing to himself? And it's like, oh, my headphones are in, leave me alone. I'm listening to I'm listening to some Pittsburgh
Just two
banter.
Pittsburgh fans
Yeah, yeah.
act like their team's good. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
hilarious. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, but no, I think it was a fantastic relationship there and show. With Arn, obviously, so you built this great relationship, and this great network, and you've got great plans going
Sure.
forward. What's it like when you sit down and you start recording with him then, and you've got like maybe an idea in mind? Does anything ever change, or do you you mentioned obviously you've learned from the very rigid script world and having to understand that. How have you adapted that to make sure you're sort of sticking to a story, but or have you kept yourself quite fluid, where if things need to change, you're able to move around and navigate differently?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I still, for the episodes that we do on like a month in his career, still get have a research guy, Andrew Hermes. He actually is the host of Medusa's podcast right now, but he's
Oh,
obsessively on Arn fan, knows all things Arn. Really well spoken and has really helped in terms of just research and putting that together for me over time. So I'll take his notes and then I'll read through and then I'll tweak and change so that I feel like it flows better as a storytelling and is not just the Spanish Inquisition, because I don't want it to be that. I want it to be conversation and crack a joke and and I want it to be more of let's tell your story in a fun way. But I also have to remember that if we start getting too deep on questions with Arn, well, what were you thinking in 1992 when you walked to the ring in Roanoke, Virginia at 4:25 p.m.? He's going to be like, idiot, I don't know what you're talking about. Like these guys have been bumped on the head so many times that I've learned with Arn. I can now know when I'm talking to him when he's just giving me the basics because I know he has no idea and can't remember. And that's okay. That's true. Kurt was the same way. Kurt would go into he would play the same hits every time, right? I mean, the same five freaking stories. So it was like, okay, Kurt, we said that on episode 22, 46, and 58. Here we are again. But so how do you handle that? Well, you move on quickly or you try to ask a different question that's high level enough that he can still answer it or bring it into today's world so that he's still giving some kind of an opinion on something. So I think some of that working on. So I do go through the script and I'll take some of that specific stuff and make it more general. Like, what were your overall thoughts on Hogan? Do you think when he wrestled you, was he out for himself or was he how just more broad versus all the pinpoint stuff? They're not remembering the pinpoint stuff. Not these guys. Not in 66, 67-year-old Arn Anderson when he's fought in thousands and thousands and thousands of matches. He doesn't remember.
no, that makes a lot of sense.
But the stuff that sticks out to him, he remembers. So when you hit on that one story, like the story of Vader and Orndorff and the scissor fight backstage, my God, you talk about a YouTube clip hit. That was great for our show. But then also you learn from him. This is what I'm not talking about. And if you ask any questions about it, speaking of scissors, you know where I'm going with that. He will not, and he has warned me. I don't want you going anywhere there. I don't care if a fan asks it. I'm not. Uh, he straight up said, kids almost lost their fathers that day, and I'm not talking about it. Paul, I respect that. And I said, I do. I said, I will tell you if we ever get into the world of the clickbait, like a lot of other podcasts do, you have some material to share. He said, I know, but I never set out to do this. I have a son in the business that I care about what his future looks like, number one. And number two, I'm in my late 60s and this is my reputation and I'm going to keep it on this level until the day that I die. And I'm not going there into the dirt. And how can you not respect that, you know?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's very respectful, and I think, to be fair, obviously, I know you mentioned earlier that a lot of people like the clickbait and like the little bits of dirt, and it does bring extra attention. But a lot of the time, I want to know what actually happens in the industry and what was
Yeah.
going on and why something happened, rather than and then here's the occasional funny road story or behind the scenes
Yeah.
story or things like that. And I know obviously the guys that do Dark Side of the Ring do a brilliant way of telling those stories of things that happened that are very controversial or upsetting or, often very sad. But it's not always going to be very easy in that kind of conversational way to have that. It's more of a, you can have that conversation if no one's listening to you, but not on the air in front of loads of people.
Sure. Yeah, the other thing I've noticed, especially if we're talking Kurt and Arn, those two were wrestlers. They weren't politicians. They weren't bookers. They weren't backstage. So a lot of times when we get into the question of what did you think of Eric's decision to such and such, or what was Vince's idea with outside of them showing up and being told to do the match they did, they're not giving you the Bruce Pritchard. They're not giving you the Eric Bischoff
No.
stuff. There's a reason their podcasts are amazing. And Jim Ross, talent relations. Those guys were decision makers. They had the pencil. And they weren't getting smacked on their heads all the time. So their storytelling around some of that stuff is going to be much layers deeper, much more intense. When you're talking with an older wrestler, that just did what I was told and tried to want to see the company succeed. You're going to get stories that were I just did what I was told and wanted the company to succeed. Oh, and here's a funny fart story from the road as we traveled down from, South Carolina to Florida. Okay, so you just got to also keep that in mind too.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I was gonna, I suppose, I just want to ask you a little bit about what your favorite parts of doing this are. What is it? What's the passion that drives you to keep doing this? Obviously, you mentioned your schedule is a lot lower now
Sure.
because of family work and life and everything.
Yeah.
But what is it that makes you keep wanting to log in and do the podcasts every couple of weeks?
Great question. And I think it's the relationships that have been built, number one, first and foremost. Arn Anderson, forever will be a friend of mine, and Kurt Angle, and Mike Kyota, and Rebel. Okay, when I was in Orlando earlier, April, May, got to go to dinner with Rebel. I went over to her house, appeared on a Rebel's happy hour that Ad Free Shows does, and then her and I met her husband, her husband, fiance Jimmy, and then who still works, by the way, for WWE with NXT, and he's a producer. But then her and I went out and had sushi, had dinner, that type of thing. Those friendships and you can't replace. It's gotten way past the just a fan, and now it's like no, they're your friend, and you've gotten to know them, and you know their family life and what makes them tick, and you care about their health and those types of things, and you can't replace those relationships. So to me, why do I still do this? For Arn, and it gets me going and juiced up. And then with the Arn show, it's always live now with the YouTube audience. So when those people come into the chat, and we have people that are there consistently, and it just is here. This makes my day. Every 2 weeks, I look forward to this. And I was having a bad day, and just to see the reaction and the love. And some of those folks are going to be in Charlotte when I go down, so I know that's going to really re-energize me. Man, it makes it worth it all. Talking to you, Martin, who I asked your questions so much to Mike Kyota,
Yeah.
and it would turn the show on its ear with hilarity and stories and things like that. And now here we are sitting, getting to know each other and talking. This is cool. This is fun to me.
Yeah, no, honestly, it was always an absolute pleasure when you asked the questions, and I always totally appreciated it. I know you get inundated with them at the time and that, but it always meant a lot that it was like, oh, I got asked, and you never get over
I
that.
was
It
getting to
was a
them all.
beautiful
I
thing.
didn't care because I know how important it is for you guys. Listen,
Mm,
ad-free shows, for those that don't know, Mike Kyota is part of their bonus tier package where you
mm.
get him. You're paying a membership. And so if you're paying a membership, you want to be heard. It's exciting. He then becomes familiar with your name. We did jokes around Ben Chioda, right? And
Yeah,
that whole gimmick. I mean, just turning things into material, and gives it a sense of community. And I think that's where a lot of the fun and came in with that show. So
yeah. Well, before you go, it might be a difficult thing for you to answer, but do you have a favorite maybe moment or a few moments from all the interviews you've done and all the episodes you've done? Have you got like say maybe two or three favorite moments? Doesn't have to necessarily be a proper episode, but things like when Kurt can't remember what question he's meant to answer, and like you mentioned the Ben Chioda stuff. You've got so many great things that have happened around your shows. Do you
yeah.
have any memories yourself though, like maybe something that happened off air or things like that that make you think that was brilliant?
Sure.
I love that. I'd love to tell that story, but I can't tell that story or whatever.
Sure. I'll tell a couple of cool, quick little things. Obviously, the Mike Kyota community and everything that we did there in the football contest, all that was a lot of fun. Just
Mhm.
getting to know everybody. He and I got to do a live show, Ask Mike Anything down in, I think it was in Tampa, I believe. It was when they did an ad-free show, did a Top Guy weekend. So
Mm.
him and I got to do that. That was really cool. And that was a lot of fun doing that together. I think some of the guests we had on, like Teddy Long and I think Gene Snitsky. Teddy Long was like, "If don't ask me anything about current product," and then I sniffed around and he's like, "All right, guys, got to go." That was hilarious. We didn't really talk about that too much online, but he was great. Um, what else? Oh, some of the Kurt Angle stuff was more of the guests. You talk about me being like, oh man, this is crazy. From Sasha Banks, Mercedes Monet, to Edge, Adam Copeland, being able to talk to him, Ronda Rousey. I mean, some of these people that I got to just sit in there in the top corner, and as we rotated the hilarious stuff with the Kurt show was everything had to be scripted. And I mean, he's sitting there reading line after line, and I'm like, he just read the wrong line. Just some of the stuff behind the scenes with him, it might as well have been a behind the scenes raw skit with this guy. The stupid milk or the still stupid commercials at the end for his chicken snacks and everything that we did together there. Just a bunch of dopey stuff. But like we would sit there and we would like read, and then he would like totally get lost in the notes, and we'd have to like edit that whole clip out, like with talent. Oh, I'm sorry, Kurt's like, I'm sorry, Edge. Don't worry, guys, I'll edit it. Oh, what are we doing? Just some of the blue. We could have done a massive blooper reel with his show. Um, but that's what made it so fun, and
Mm.
like, and you could tell they were all very. What always stuck out to me is whoever we had on. Josh Alexander loved coming on. He came on twice towards the end. He loved Kurt. All so respectful and loving of Kurt Angle. You could tell they had him on a pedestal. So
Mm.
I always thought that was cool. One of my favorite guests, and he just had some news about concussions himself, was Adam Cole. I
Yeah.
loved Adam Cole. When he logged on first, Kurt was running late, and he would started conversation with me. Talk to me. Oh, well, look at your background, and oh, it looks so cool, man. Like that, like into getting to talk to me. Some of these guys would just chill and wait until Kurt came on. He was like, "Hey, how's it going? How long you been doing the Kurt show?" Oh yeah, you live there? Oh, and I was like, I love Adam Cole, and if I ever had the opportunity to host a podcast with somebody that I could pick, it would be Adam Cole. Just such a nice guy. So when I saw this going on with him and people commenting, I personally can sit in that chair thinking, you guys are all my limited interaction with him. I'll never forget. Um, let's think. What else? Arn's. I don't think of anything. Standout moments have just been getting to know Tully because of him and doing
Yeah.
the Arn and Tully show and getting and he always recommended me. Hey, Paul can help you in. So getting to know Tully because I was a huge mark for Tully as a kid. Tully Blanchard. He's one that I wished didn't kind of have the situation happen that happened for him, with his wrestling career. But I really loved
Mm.
Tully Blanchard. So being able to work with him via Arn was cool. Being able to do the Bobby Eaton tribute special with Arn was big because that was an off the cuff. Paul, I've lost internet in Huntsville. You need to jump on and do it. That just get him started and let Arn tell all the stories.
Wow.
It wasn't that easy. I had to hurry up and Wikipedia and stuff things about Bobby so that I could take folks on a journey of his career. He was born in such and such, and then he went to here, Arn, and then you got to work with him here, and I got more compliments on that show. Um, than a lot of the other shows that I've ever done. So that was really a cool experience to be able to do that with Arn for someone that he cared so deeply about.
Mm.
Um, Trying to think what else. Just some of the other guest hosting spots were really cool. The Rebels happy hours are always off the rails. I mean, that stuff could never go public. We'd all be fired and terminated from our jobs. You know what I used to do for ad-free shows when I first started was called Book Club, and we would take a book once a month. And from Bill Apter was one of the first guests. We did his book, but people would be notified what book we were doing that month, a wrestling book, and then we would have the author come on and we would ask them questions about the book, and we called it Book Club. And I hosted that, and I would read the books. And I'm not a great book reader, but I tell you what, I got to talk to a lot of great people through that show, a lot of great writers, and some great wrestling stories. So that was another fun highlight. And then one more, and I'll shut up. Dr. Tom Pritchard and Kevin Sullivan. Getting to know the two of those guys, I think for me, I there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think of one of those two guys and think, man, first of all, I miss Kevin and wish I would have. We had a great closing to his show Tuesday with the Taskmaster. Man, one of these days I'm going to go back and watch it, and it's probably going to make me cry like a baby. But I felt like once that was done, the communication just kind of goes away because you're not counting on each other for a show anymore. I wish I would have been able to talk to him a little bit more. You just always wish that, especially when someone passes. But he was just a great man. Oh, funniest story that happened was him and his wife. One time there was a lawnmower going, and I said, Kevin, there's lawnmower going, and I can barely hear you. It's going to be picked up in the audio. And he was like, "Oh, really? Oh, okay." Um, he's like, "Hold on, let me go yell at the neighbor and tell him to quit mowing his grass." So he takes his headphones off. Well, his mic was still hot. I could hear him. And he goes, He goes to his wife, "Hey, Paul said he can hear you cutting the grass. Can you please stop mowing the yard so that we can do our show?" God damn it. And he's like swearing and she starts swearing. So then he comes back. He's like, "Paul, don't worry. I yelled at my neighbor. They should be done cutting the grass here shortly." And I knew the whole time it was his damn wife cutting the grass.
That's
But they
amazing.
were like, "That was," I was like, "Oh, whatever." But these people would just straight up lie. And I'm sitting here listening to the whole thing. But God bless rest his soul. I love that man. And then Dr. Tom, we used to do a show called X-Ray, and we would pick apart an old match, just pick an old WCCW match or an old steel cage match, and we called it X-Ray, and we'd sit there and talk about it. And listen, it wasn't the most highly rated commented show, and a lot of old time wrestling fans liked it. We might
Yeah.
get 5 to 10 comments, and I stretched it. But man, just listen, being able to pick the brain and listen to a guy dissect it, who you knew was so influential on so many careers and still is,
Mm.
and get to know him in a personal way, man, what a great ride this has been.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, thanks for sharing all those. It means a lot. And yeah, great to hear the lawnmower story. That's brilliant. I'll
The
never see
lawnmower
lawn.
story is classic.
Unbelievable. I'll never see lawnmowers the same again now. I'll see them in a different light.
It was his
Uh,
wife the whole time. He's like, "Oh, it's my neighbor." No, no, it's your wife. Okay. And they're all swearing about me in the background. I know it.
I love it. I love it. I have to ask, not really about like when you got into wrestling or when you started wrestling, but what is it about wrestling that has got you this passion? What is it about wrestling that's hooked you?
Well, part of it, I think, is the relationship that it helped me develop between my grandfather and my father and myself. I lost my father in December of last year, so about 6, 7 months ago now, and it was sudden, hit out of nowhere, and uh, and so that was tough. He was my pay-per-view buddy. Between him and Gavin, we'd watch it because he lived here with us. So I think that bond of family. Number two, I would say. Just so many memories, childhood memories of angles and from the Crockett and WWF and where I was at when I watched it and seeing this happen and how the business has evolved. It's a thread throughout my childhood. In my teenage years, I kind of took a break. We all get distracted in our teenage years. But when the Attitude Era came back, I was all in. Um, and that was for other reasons. Oh, the gratuitous violence and nudity. But anyway, it was just a great time to get back into it. And now being able to watch it with my son and seeing him enjoy it. But it's a soap opera. It's athletic soap opera. They're more and more open about sharing everything behind the curtain now. And that's truly what it is. But it is so enjoyable. There's nothing else like it from an entertainment perspective. And when they do it right, it can be the most entertaining thing to watch. I don't care what anybody else says. When done right, it can be fascinating, entertaining, and highly exciting and get the blood going and have you jumping out of your seat going, "Oh my God." Not many things can do that because my sports team ain't doing it for me. So that's what I love about wrestling.
Yeah, yeah. Sports always disappoints you.
I
Sorry to hear
know.
about your loss. Yeah, sorry to hear about that. It's very sad.
No, thank you. No,
Thoughts with you and your family over that, and yeah, sudden stuff's never nice. But at least people can live on through those relationships, and like
it's
you
so
say,
true.
you can keep that going and have those memories. And I think that's why people love podcasts so much and love the work that you do so much because they're reliving those moments, and you're able to help put a voice for all of us into those moments. So we really love what you do, and I really appreciate everything you do with everyone you've interviewed and every episode you've ever done. So thanks very much for all your hard work. It does mean a lot to us.
Hey, listen, it was cool. And I'll say this about my dad being a big wrestling fan. He was so proud and excited that I got to do this stuff. So one of the times I had him come up here and I introduced him to Nikita Koloff before we did a show because he was a hardcore NWA fan back in the day. I remember watching it in the bathroom on a black and white TV because that's where the best reception came. And Nikita got to share some nice words with my dad. So just little things like that was super cool. Dad wasn't a podcast guy. He just, "Where are you, Paul? You're recording with Kurt Angle?" And that would get him all excited. So just cool, man. Cool. And I thank you so much. Again, I'm so glad that this worked out for us to finally do it and catch up. And I'm glad to hear that so many people have enjoyed a little bit of the work that I've done. Listen, the focus has never been about me. It's always about facilitating and bringing out to life more about the person that I'm with. And I think with Chioda, you guys got to learn and see and enjoy so much about that guy, and the great questions that all of you asked. So it's just been a pleasure to be able to do that.
No, I really appreciate it. Well, I'll put all the links obviously underneath for your socials, but also the show's socials and the website obviously mentioned for the Four Horsemen merchandise and so on. And if anyone watching this or listening hasn't heard your work before, then they really have got so much to catch up on, because there's some incredible things out there on YouTube, not just your own show. But it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been great that we've messaged quite a lot over the last few years and all the questions you've asked for me, but it's great just to sit down properly and hear from you and hear that voice in a lot more detail. So thanks very much for your time. The legend that is Pauly B, Paul Bromwell, thank you very much for your time.
All right. Thank you, Martin.